My name is Alan, and welcome to the Sound Speeds Podcast, Episode 7. It is the last week in the month of October, my favorite month of the year, and I don't even know where this month went. It is the last weekend that you can go to a haunted house because Halloween is this upcoming Thursday, and you don't exactly want to go to a haunted house after Halloween, do you? I mean, sure, haunted houses are going to be open for one, maybe, if you're lucky, 2 weekends into November, but why? Go before Halloween, when you can get into the spirit of Halloween and really enjoy it. Regardless, I hope you enjoy Halloween. It is Saturday, October 26, 2019. Let's get into it. Amazon impulse buys. If you are a boom operator like I am, then you are living on your feet 12 plus hours every single day, and that is extremely punishing on your feet on the weeks after weeks that you're on set, months after months, and years after years, and I've been doing this now over a decade. So you can imagine my feet do not like me when I'm standing on them for over half of a day. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this is because a lot of the times boom operators are given this whole stigma of you don't sit down. You're supposed to be running the set for the sound department. So you're supposed to stand up and run around and fix things and whatever else. Yes, you are. But you still need to get off your feet every now and then, if nothing else, to give them a minor bit of rest to keep them from damaging long periods of time and basically ending your career early. About a month ago, I was doing a walk and talk, and we were outside. There was pebbles all over the ground, and I happened to step right over the middle of a rock. Now, normally, my shoes are absorbing those pretty well and seamlessly, but the shoes I was wearing were extremely comfortable if you're inside. And exterior, they were a little bit not quite as comfy. It basically had this technology called cloud form in it, which allowed it to feel like you were walking on a cloud, provided the surface was flat. If you step on something that was a little bit more rugged or pebbly, I guess you could say, then you ended up with a bit of lumps kind of coming through and feeling it, and stepping right on a rock in the middle of the arch of my foot when the shoe is just starting to kind of wear itself out and that arch, the sole is getting a little thinner. It ended up jamming right up into the arch of my foot and hurting it. And since then, I've been kind of walking with a little bit of a limp at times, especially near the end of the night, and it's been hurting like crazy. My wife set me up with some Vionic shoes, which are good for plantar fasciitis, and although I'm not 100% sure that I have it because it came on in an instant, I can't get off my feet long enough for me to actually let my feet rest because I'm pretty much on set all the time, with exception of Monday and Tuesday of this week when I was sick with a very flu-like thing and basically slept the entire day for 2 days straight. And I don't know how I did that because I haven't done that since I was an infant. I normally can't sleep more than about 5 hours unless I'm sleeping in, and then it might be 6 because I just don't require that much sleep, and my body knows it. But for some reason, I slept almost 2 days straight. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this is because I found something very recently, and I'm going to be using it on set going forward. This right here is actually a stool. And you might be looking at it and saying, sure it is. But if you take your fingers, put it in there, and take your fingers and put it in there, and then pull, this here is a stool that is capable of holding 330 pounds, which is quite a bit more than I weigh. So I think this is going to be a great benefit for me to have on set. It only cost about $40, and they might even be cheaper. But when I found it, I said, I'm going to go ahead and buy that now because this right here, being that all you have to do to collapse it is twist, and it goes right down to this little bitty disc. And then you can hang it on something like a boom caddy or pretty much any place. It's not that heavy. It might weigh like 1 pound or something. I don't know. But this thing is light. It's very, very small, and it extends out to the point where it's pretty much knee height. So if you sit down on this, it's like you're sitting in a chair. It's quite comfortable too. I mean, there's no pad on it, so you are going to feel it over the course of time, but you're not going to be sitting in that very long. And this is small enough for you to carry around with you on set, pull it out, drop it on the ground, sit down for a moment just to get off your feet and cool down. And so that way your feet are not going to be burning all day. So I have put a link in the description. Please check it out if you'd like to, because I've already been using this around the house, and I think it's going to become something very important to me because it's going to give me just a couple of moments that I can get off my feet without making an on-set dresser or some person like the production designer annoyed because I'm sitting on their sets. Something sound. Maxax asks, why is it that if I plug my SM58 into my Focusrite's line level input, I have no level? Line level is much hotter input, so why wouldn't it work? That's a good question, but I think you're confusing what mic and line level actually is and what they are doing. Microphone levels are very, very low voltage output devices. This, for example, is only between 1 and 2 millivolts. It's not amplified. It has to either go into the Focusrite and get amplified there, or it needs to go into something like a Cloud Lifter, a Fedhead, a SE Electronics Dynamite, something like that in order to amplify it in line before it gets to your Focusrite. And in order to do that, it's going to basically take a little bit of the phantom power, convert it into amplification through a JFET circuit and some stuff I won't get into in this video. But it basically uses that phantom power in order to boost the level up to line level. Now, although microphone level is negative 60 dB, some people say up to negative 40, and professional line level is plus 4 dB, it is not as simple as saying it's 46 to 66 decibels hotter. It's not quite that way. You need to look at the voltage. And in professional line level, the RMS or average voltage that's going through that professional line at plus 4 dB is about 1.228 volts, and it peaks at about 1.736 volts. So if you were looking at it from the point of view of your Focusrite says, I am expecting this to be already amplified and it to be between about 1.228 and 1.736 volts. And if you put a microphone into your line level where it's looking for a preamplified signal already, and it is 1,000th the volume that it's expecting, yes, it's going to show up as nothing but noise, and you're not going to get any kind of a level. Even though it doesn't require phantom power, you cannot go in line level with your microphone. That would be why. As a real quick side note, if you look at 0 dB, and you know that is 1 volt, if you go to negative 20 dB, that is 100 millivolts. If you go to negative 40 dB, that is 10 millivolts. And if you go to negative 6 dB, that is 1 millivolt. So just keep in mind that 1 volt or 1,000 millivolts would be 0 dB, and then you take a 0 off the end of every single one of those numbers when you go down 20 dB. So going all the way down to negative 6 dB is 1 millivolt. So that's a little quick bit of trivia for you also. But hopefully, Maxax, that answered your question. And yeah, you'll definitely want to go in mic level. Opinionated much? We are in the era of the selfie. And there's one thing that drives me completely crazy when I see people do selfies. They have it set up to look like a mirror for themselves after they take the picture. If you take a picture of me, you're looking at me. This is the right side of my face. This is the left side of my face. But if you put the camera upon yourself and you turn it into mirror image mode, a mirror reverses it. And when you save it, by default, some cameras, not all, but some cameras will flip it or show it to you the way it was on your hand right there, which means that because it's reversed, your words are all backwards. If you're wearing a shirt or a hat that says something on there, all those words are in reverse. This is not acceptable, people. If you're going to take selfies, the very least you can do is have proper selfie etiquette. And that would be going into your settings, something like right here on my phone. I would click right over here and go into settings, and then I say, where would it be? Save options? Well, no, that couldn't be it. Oh, wait a second. Maybe it was. Pictures as previewed, selfie. Save selfie as they appear in the preview without flipping them. I thought I went to the wrong option, and I went to the right option. How hard is it for you to go in and hit one little button and simply change this thing to not drive people crazy? I understand that you may have a good side and a bad side. Guess what? If it flips because you make it proper, then what's the difference? I mean, if it's still the same side that you find to be your good side, but the difference is it's the way people look at you. It's not flipped mirror image. Because you happen to take it this way and you're like, oh, look, in my right hand, this is whatever. The camera sees your right hand on the left side of it, just like you are seeing my right hand on your left side. So why is it then that if people take a selfie image, they feel the need to have that show up on the right side because that was the mirror image? Look, don't do that. It is completely crazy. You don't read in reverse. So why would you want your pictures to save that way? Go into your settings and be a human being that is going to take selfies and do it the right way and set it so that way that whenever you take a picture of yourself, it shows the words the way we read them. Wrong answers only. I've been asked many times, how do you get hired on the big shows? So let me let you in on a couple of secrets here. There is security on most sound stages, and if you're trying to get into some place like Pinewood or Eagle Rock, Paramount, Warner Brothers, any of these big studios, they do have tall walls and they have security guards. So you may be thinking, okay, how do I go about getting on set? One of the very simple ways to do it is to go in as a background artist. You can very easily do some searches online and you want to answer them and make it a point that you're trying to get on set because you want to be a background person. But once you're on set, slip the people there, dress into tech clothes, which you happen to have in your bag, and go to set and pretend like you belong there. If you do that, they'll start to put you to work. They're going to naturally see you as a crew member and they're going to say, okay, here, grab a C-stand, take it out there, or grab this electrical cable and route it. They're going to very easily toss you in as long as you look the part. Remember, this is the film industry. So as long as you look the part, that's the whole big thing right there. As long as you are on set, dressed like the job that you want, not the job you have, then you will be put to work doing that job. So you don't have to jump walls and whatever else, come in as a background person. And then once you are accepted as a crew member by that department, they're going to say, paychecks. I don't have your check. Why is that? Oh, I don't know. Maybe I need to fill out start paperwork. You go fill out your start paperwork, and then magically you will start getting a paycheck. So that is one very common way to get into the film industry, and that's probably the very best way. But there's other ways too. If you happen to see a location sign out on the road and you follow that, go ahead and park in crew parking. And when you get out, just act like a crew member. If you're not on location, if you're not on a sound stage and you're on location, as long as you are not nervous and you have a very strong will to actually get on set, it's the same exact as any other crew member. If I go to day play on a show, they don't know me in the transport department. All they know is that I parked in crew parking and I said, yep, I'm a crew member. And then I get on the van and I go and get my breakfast at catering. And then I go to set and I start working. If you do the same exact thing, then you are going to be accepted the same exact way. They don't look at the badges of security badges. People on set, even if they don't know you, they're gonna think that you're a crew member in another department. And all you have to do to start showing that you belong there is by jumping up and starting to do something. Don't be afraid to walk up to the director and say, "Would you care for something to drink?" and then go get that for him. Doing so is going to get you in with the director, and that's a very, very good thing. Powerful person. Producers, same exact way. UPM, same way. Anyone sitting at Video Village, the same exact way. So if you do something like that, go to the very, very top, start serving, and eventually you're going to earn a paycheck doing it because they're going to say, geez, we got to get you paid. Story time. I'm not a typical male, but in this story, I was, and I think it's the only time in my life I was ever a typical male, and I didn't even realize it. The only thing I can think of is if you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons or Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, if you're stickler about little bitty words like that, then you're probably familiar with the Dryad. The Dryad is kind of like a nymph, and they usually live in trees. They're magical type beings, and if a male, or a human, I should say, wanders too close to the tree, they can charm them and completely like brainwash them and come and live with the tree with them, and then that person is basically gone forever. A Dryad is a dangerous creature because of the charm ability. And if I were to guess, I would say that the two girls that came to the apartment of my girlfriend at the time and was selling magazines, I would assume that they are probably free-roaming Dryads. Let me set this story up for you. I was staying almost exclusively at my girlfriend, now my wife. I mean, this is back when we were boyfriend and girlfriend. she was, 19 and gets a knock on the door. Now, this was her apartment, and I was basically staying over there all the time. And one day she got a knock on the door, and it was two girls that were probably about the same age as her. And for whatever crazy reason, they were like selling magazines. And they were like, "Would you like to buy a subscription to a magazine?" I don't read magazines. I could care less about them. I mean, even the sound ones that I subscribe to, I don't even have a chance to read those. I usually do my research elsewhere. I mean, I'll flip through them, but I don't really read the articles. So why in the world would I want magazine subscriptions? But for whatever reason, I said, "Yeah, come on in." And I don't even remember what they looked like. And my girlfriend, my wife now, she was looking at me like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm going to buy some magazine subscription." She's like, "Okay." And she was just amused because that's who my wife is. She was just looking at me like with puzzlement, "Why in the world are you buying magazines? You have no interest in this." And I was just like, "Okay, so tell me, I would like to find a magazine that is this or this." And it was like some deal, like if you buy 3 subscriptions, they'll give you a 4th one free or something like that. I'm like, "Oh, good. Well, I need to get 4 subscriptions or something." I forgot what it was that I did, but I remember buying something like 4 subscriptions to magazines that I don't even know what those things are now. I don't remember what they are. I remember Condé Nast Traveler was one. That was the only one I remember, and that's because I remember looking at it. My wife and I both enjoy traveling, and this is before we had kids, so I was looking at it as, "Oh, cool, this is gonna give us some location ideas that we could go and travel to." And so when I looked at it, I was like, "Oh, this is really, really cool. Check this out. I mean, look, I can go here and I can go here." And that would be really awesome. So why don't we get a subscription to this? I think I got something stupid like a 3-year subscription. And then the other 2 or 3 subscriptions that I bought, I don't remember what those things were. I would like to say they were something tech, but I don't remember. I don't even remember the way the girls looked who sold them. But as soon as they left with a check that at that particular point in time, we didn't have a whole lot of extra money sitting around because we were both, you know, kind of early in our careers and trying to just make a living. And here I was spending something like almost $100 on buying magazine subscriptions that we were just not going to read. And I was very thankful. I was like, "Oh, thanks for coming by," and whatever. And as soon as they left, my wife just kind of is looking at me like, and I'm like, "What?" She's like, "You're not going to read those magazines." I'm like, "I might." "Why did you buy them?" I'm like, "I don't know." And she's like, "Just because 2 pretty girls come to the door selling something you don't have to buy." I'm like, "That wasn't why I bought." And she's like, "Then why was it?" And I'm like, "I don't know." I still don't to this day know. And that is the only time I can ever recall falling for something like that. I don't know what happened in my brain, if it was even engaged at all. I don't understand it. I do not understand one bit. I knew very clearly that my wife was right next to me. I knew very clearly that what these girls were selling was nothing that I was the least bit interested in. But for whatever reason, I think the only thing I could think of is that they were raising money for some school thing. And I guess I was like, "Oh, well, I got to support you through school." So whatever. I don't know. I don't know looking back at it. But what I do know is that as craziness goes, me buying subscriptions to those magazines that day was nothing I needed. And I got some very interesting looks out of my wife for that. She wasn't mad at me, but she was very puzzled as to what is wrong with you? Why would you do that? I mean, this is nothing. I mean, and she's right. I mean, it was very crazy. Floating. As of today, I've released over 200 videos on sound speeds, and that doesn't include the over 25 live streams I've done. It doesn't include also all the different videos that I've now privated and will never release again, or the Death Nut Challenge thing that I did, or anything else like that. I've basically released over 200 videos, and then some of those I have gone unlisted with them because they are no longer relevant or nothing that I can stand behind, like, for example, my sonic testing series. But one of the questions people have asked me in the past is, what are some of your favorite videos? So I thought I would really quickly create a list, and any of these videos you can click on the link in the description down below and watch them. But for whatever reason, and I'll explain why as we go through it, I will tell you why it's one of my favorite videos and why I think it's something that you should watch. And there are 15 of them. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, geez, this is going to take all day. No, it's not. I'm going to actually go through them fairly quickly. And most of these videos they required some editing. They required me to go above and beyond or do something kind of special to make it happen. And so therefore, part of it, the reason why I might really like it a whole lot is because of that right there. The first video is the real origin of MOS. MOS is a term that we use on a film set when there is no sound going to be recorded along with picture. Like it's a shot of a TV screen and it's just a green screen that they're going to replace the image on later. So they have no reason in the world to record sound on that because there's no sound for it. So they'll say MOS, and I will hang out and watch just in case they decide to have somebody turn the TV on or something like that. But regardless, MOS, I go over the entire origin of it. And I start with the creation of sound and then the creation of camera and picture. And then I merge the two of them together and then start tracking through history and talking about sound and MOS, the origin of it. So I really like that video. It was one of the first videos I did, and it was the first elaborate edited video I did. And I think if you're familiar with the film industry, it's definitely one that you should watch. The next one is the invisible boom. There's a technique that you can use where you create basically a garbage mat in a procedure. So that way, if you have a wide shot and then there's a tight shot at the same time going on, you want to be able to get the boom over the tight shot. But they're like, no, after this, we're going to turn around. I don't have time to do, to shut them down and do the wide first, then the tight, but you want to get a boom over the actor. So the invisible boom technique is one that you can do, and it doesn't take a whole lot as long as you're shooting digital to convince someone to use this invisible boom trick. And in this video, I go over what you need to know in order to do it successfully so that way you don't mess up your production. The next one is, can you really trust an advertised frequency response? I talked with a very, very accomplished engineer named Ray Rayburn, and he was absolutely amazing with the information he brought to this interview. And in the entire time of that video I was talking to him, he was just telling me nonstop information, and it was really awesome. The only bad part about the entire video is the fact that his headset was kind of weird and it kept falling. His microphone was like wobbling around and clinking and whatever else. But in all honesty, when I was talking to him, I didn't even hear it because I was too engaged in what he was saying and just listening to his voice and what he was saying. And there's a lot of great information in there. And this is one of the reasons why I have my rant about AES and microphone specifications. And I'm not going to do it right now. I must hold myself back, but it's something that I'll probably do at some point in the future. Why I think my microphone specifications need to be universalized. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on. But there is a quick cameo from Bandruit Podcast is in there. So not just at the beginning, he's at the end as well. So it's kind of a fun video for that reason as well. It's long, but it's awesome all the way through. The next video is Stories from Set with Cooper Andrews. Now, you may not know the name Cooper Andrews, but if I showed you a picture of him, like this picture right here of me and him chilling out in a restaurant after we were both boom operators on a show together. Yes, this actor now that's been in Shazam and he's been in Walking Dead and he's been in a whole bunch of big movies now. He was once a boom operator. And as a matter of fact, he was a boom operator and he and I referred jobs back and forth and we were friends and showed up on the same set. And, I would be on one unit, he'd be on the other unit a couple of times and stuff. But he is a great guy, longtime friend of mine. And now he has made it as an actor in the film industry. And I could not be happier for him. But when we did this Stories from Set interview, we talked about sound. He talked about some of the adventures he had and fun that he had when he was a boom operator before he was an actor. And we're talking, an actor in stuff that that you know of and you've seen before. So, I mean, it's really cool that he did an interview with me and that it is up on Sound Speeds. And it's surprisingly, it's not watched very much because I think people don't recognize the name Cooper Andrews when related to sound. so they don't think anything about his acting accomplishments, but he's quite accomplished and he's really an amazing guy. The next video is the extensive testing of the DDS Mic 2. Now, that was a very fun video for me because I went out into the field, and that was the very first time I took a shotgun microphone to various different heights overhead and tested them like in various degrees of overhead with noises and whatever else. And it was a lot of fun for me to just go out there and record those audio tests in various different environments. And then because of the epoxy sealing of the circuit board on the inside, it has a reputation for being waterproof. So I took it into the shower with me, and you get to see that in that video too. But for some reason, eBay. For some reason, YouTube does not put it up very high in the search results, probably because my channel is nowhere near as big as some other audio channels. And I think it's a lot. I think this video is a lot of fun because I do stuff in that video that no one else will do just because I'm crazy. So anyway, that video is a lot of fun. The next one is Gollum Juice, the ultimate throat soothing solution. Anyone who has seen Lord of the Rings and has heard Gollum will know that Andy Serkis is the guy mastermind behind that voice. And he had to keep his voice in tip-top shape for months on end during the filming of The Lord of the Rings, and then again for The Hobbit. And when you are constantly, doing that whole voice, which I can't do, that's punishing. And it's extremely difficult for you to maintain that kind of throat, voice. But he did it. And part of it is because of Gollum Juice. Gollum Juice is the name that he called it on set, and people referred to it on set because it made him have the Gollum voice. But other people in other crafts, like opera singers, refer to it as a different thing. And I don't know what that thing is. I've never talked to an opera person about it. But if you are interested in soothing your throat for a performance or because you're a little scratchy and you're about to do your podcast, it is a great solution to make. And the video actually is a lot of fun too because it shows how terrible I am in the kitchen, but yet still it somehow is made and tastes great. The next video is the destruction of the EV664 series. It is at this point ongoing. And the reason why is because still I have not destroyed the thing. I have tried punishing it all over the place. I even involved my friend Michael Wynn of the Michael Wynn YouTube channel to try to help me destroy it, doing what the actual test is that Lou Burrows, the founder of Electro Voice, used to do, which is using it as a hammer. And then I go crazy with it and do more and more tests. And I still owe some more tests that I still have to do. We'll see what happens in the end, and we'll see at what point the microphone is completely dead. But right now, the destruction of the EV664 series is definitely one that you're going to want to check out. The next one is Overtones, Harmonics, and the Human Voice, where I go deep diving into what in your voice creates harmonics and overtones and how your vocal chords or vocal folds simply vibrate, create a vibration, and then you shape that and you use that in order to create your voice and how you use it in voiceover or when you're an actor or whatever the case may be. And in this, I go quite deep into everything, but I think I explain it very well. And so it's one of my favorite videos for that reason. The next one is sample rates. Why 44.1K, 48K? In this video, I dive deep into sample rates and I talked about how we came to get the sample rates that we are using today and why and what circumstances you would use 44.1 and 48K. And I talk about the compatibility with, other formats. And it's actually a really cool video and it's not very long either. So it's definitely one that you should check out too if you don't understand sample rates, or even if you do, check it out also. The next one is the look of sound speeds with outtakes. For episode number 100, I decided I was going to do a little bit of fun. And it was originally going to be a studio tour, but then I decided to change it up and do a little bit different there because Michael Wynn came and did the Sound Speeds takeover where he kind of looked at behind the scenes on my channel. And there wasn't a whole lot different at that time. So I didn't really see a point to go ahead and do a video about it since it was only done, a couple months previous. But I went ahead and decided instead to do this video, which was the look of sound speeds. And it shows behind the scenes how I'm not actually that good on camera. when I get in front of the thing and say sound speeds and blah, 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 I start falling over my words and mess up. It takes a lot of takes for me to make one episode of sound speeds. And you get a chance to see maybe about a third of them because I keep, restarting with a little beep, noise, and I restart it. Then after a while, I move on. But still, I'm only showing you about a third of the takes that I actually used in the show. And then I go into a full outtake reel where you get to see me get really frustrated, cuss like a sailor, and just get to the point where I'm about to start destroying something because I just cannot get something right. Because keep in mind, I do a lot of my recording in the middle of the night. Like, for example, right now, it is 4:29 a.m. There goes sleep. Regardless, it's a cool video. You should definitely check it out. The next one is the first look at the Neptech BC1 April Fool's prank I did. People new to this channel might not know that I'm a big April Fool's pranker. I've been pranking people for years and I enjoy doing so. And one of the things I did for my very first April Fool's prank on this channel is I launched a new product that I said was going to be at NAB, and it was a Bluetooth wireless transmitter and receiver unit that was low cost and actually zero latency, which in the world of Bluetooth, zero latency does not exist. As a matter of fact, even in the world of professional wireless, it still isn't zero latency. It's like 0.35 milliseconds or something at best. But regardless, it's a fun video. I designed this thing from the ground up and really went all out in trying to explain it. I created a fake button. I created a fake everything about it. I mean, and I even demonstrate in a very convincing way how it looks on camera and made a lot of people believe that I was genuinely showing a wireless product that was working as well as it was. And then I also have I did a confession video the next day where I said, I'm sorry, that was an April Fool's prank, because people were like, this seems real. I don't think this is April Fool's prank, guys. But then the next day they were like, I can't believe it. It was. Anyway, it was pretty awesome. And so the next day I released a behind the scenes and how I made the video. And that one went over pretty well also. So I'll actually put the links to both of those down there for you to check out. The next video is don't buy the AT2035 until you watch this video. The only video as of now that I've released with what you could consider to be a clickbaity title. And the reason why I did that, which I normally don't do clickbait stuff, is because a lot of people, when they watch a video, they want to know what it's about. And I wanted to establish that the AT2035 is a fine sounding microphone for the price, but there is another option that is cheaper, just as brand name and everything else that I want people to consider as well. And in doing so, I decided to make the title something that if someone was like looking through and saying, okay, well, I'm just about to the point where I'm going to buy it. And then and they scrolled way down through the list here on YouTube and they happen to see this little sound speeds channel. Yeah, I'll check him out. Let's check out his video because the title is telling me don't buy it until I watch it. It, to this day, is my most popular video. It probably gets on average of about 50 to 75% of the views that I get on this channel and watch time as of now. So it's actually one of my better performers, and I'm very, very happy about that. The next video is actually kind of almost a two-part series. They're a lot of fun to me. It's a lesson in microphone sensitivity, and I don't have the preamps. The reason why is both of them deal with microphone sensitivity. A lesson in microphone sensitivity, I talk about how there's microbars, there's Pascals, and how the relationship of those works. And then in I Don't Have the Preamps, I show a vintage microphone that uses preamps on the sensitivity. And when I put that up on a Discord channel that I'm a member of, people were like, oh my gosh, and sensitivity that low is so crazy. And it's because they didn't understand the difference between sensitivity in Pascals and sensitivity in microbars. So I did that video to explain the difference. And so both of those videos, I think, do a good job of explaining microphone sensitivity in a way that no one else really has online. So a lesson in microphone sensitivity, and I Don't Have the Preamps. Both of those are fun videos. The next video is 4 pro techniques to shorten headphone cables without soldering. Some of those I developed, some of those I acquired the knowledge of. But regardless, it was something that I had been thinking about for a while. And I mean, I've I've shortened my headphone cables constantly throughout the years because I don't like having extra cable length. And a lot of people that I know don't like it either, but then they don't know what to do. And I've just grabbed headphones and people have said, yeah, I have all this extra cable and I don't want them to have that snag on a doorknob or something like that as they're quickly walking by. So I have tightened that up for them and done one of those techniques on it. And that video, I show the 4 techniques I use on any kind of a basis that, I currently use basically when I'm shortening the headphones. So in doing so, I think that it's actually a pretty good video. And I enjoy doing it. It's one of those where you kind of shoot it from above and you look at hands doing the technique and fast forward through all the monotony of actually doing it. But I show 4 different techniques. And as of right now, nobody else on YouTube has done more than 1, maybe 2 of these techniques at this given time. And I show 4. The last video is comparing boom pole quick releases. This goes back to when you want to quickly change out a microphone. Like right now, this SM7B is, I have to screw the thing onto the stand and then unscrew it. And it takes time to do. But if you're interested in being a boom operator and you need to quickly change microphones on and off and shock mounts, then you don't want to necessarily have to do that. A quick release allows you to go and it's off, or click and it's back on really quick. And there is a cost associated with it. And I showcase 6 of the most common ones out there in the world that you can use and buy. And I do everything from ambient and Rycote to the, what is it called? The Amblin or something like that. The one that's sold on eBay really dirt cheap that you don't want to put much on. And what's one of the other brands I did? Sound Guy Solutions. So, I mean, there's 6 different brands out there for you to check out. And that was a fun video to do. And it got some attention. And I think even though Ambient will not confirm it, right after I released the video, Ambient, changed and started making their QR or quick release. They started making it black, which is in the video. I said, I don't know why they don't make it black. I wish they did. And they did that about a month later. So I kind of look at that and say, I wonder if I had anything to do with it. I hope I did. But anyway, so those are a few of the videos that I really like on SoundSpeeds. And I usually recommend to people because it answers a lot of questions and I think pretty effectively. So there you have it. Yet another episode of the SoundSpeeds podcast in the can. Didn't I say that last week? Yes, I did. But I really appreciate you watching. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the description. If you'd like to give me any ideas for a segment you would like me to do or an answer to something in one of those segments, then by all means do. And don't forget about my outro. It is something that you can say. The copy's down below. And this week, I actually have another voiceover submission, this one by Eryn Knight. So take it away, Eryn. Take us home.
If you'd like to ask a question for the Wrong Answers Only segment or submit a suggestion for the floating segment, send an email to soundspeedspodcast@yahoo.com. If you'd like to showcase your voiceover talents by saying this outro, make sure it sounds good, doesn't exceed 20 seconds, and send it to the same email. Hit subscribe for more content both here and on SoundSpeeds.